Welcome back to Burn to Notice, the series dedicated to analyzing Michael Weston and his crew. If you're new to the series, there's a link in the description down below. This episode begins with Mike bribing a Cayman Island banker in order to learn more about the man who targeted Mike. And Fee is trying to dissuade Mike from meeting him.
Going to this meeting unarmed with no information.
It's a tactical risk. Fee, I was warned not to meet you the first time.
Yeah, I almost blew off your hand with a block of C4.
And I made a friend.
It doesn't go in her favor. This is Gustavo, and he gets right down to business. And after some small talk, Mike tests the guy, and he fails, meaning he can drop the act now. And they begin to fight when he accidentally falls to his death. He came all this way to pose as a bank official just to die unceremoniously. It's a little sad. This is also when Mike realizes the folder was just filled with a stack of printer paper. Mike then flees the scene to keep himself out of prison. At the loft, Mike trains in his knife disarmament when Sam arrives with a big fish and information on the real Gustavo, who is now dead, just like the fake one. Mike suggests Fee may be able to help with the whole situation and figure out who's the one who smuggled the fake Gustavo. Luckily, Mike was already planning on meeting her at the Carlito.
Bring the fish. Maybe they'll cook it for you.
As he leaves, he is met with a gentleman who needs help, shocker. Turns out the man who killed this man's daughter is in Miami living a life of a wealthy socialite, instead of facing the justice he so richly deserves, because killing the man's daughter is barely the tip of the iceberg. Unfortunately, Claude, the client, only has a bogus letter and a story, so Mike passes on the job. However, Claude and Sam browbeat Mike to accept the job. Also, I love how Sam knows Mike is going to break, so he gets some intel on the rich socialite, Jean-Pierre Dumont, while waiting for Fee. But before Mike can meet with Fee, he gets a call from Maddie concerned of a break-in. Turns out somebody stole her car radio.
FYI, people still do steal radios now. How you think I got this suit?
Which is a little weird, but people do still steal radios. But she wants Mike's help to find the thieves, and it's a great way for her to spend time with her son. Also, she needs a ride.
Because the car won't start now.
Because the tape deck is stolen?
Hey, blame your father. He installed the radio. He wired the damn thing to the ignition.
Then Mike and Sam do some recon at a bar where Jean-Pierre Dumont frequents. However, he is going by a new name, Luc Renard, and due to the fact that Fee is more likely to join Luc Renard in the VIP suite, Mike calls her up to provide a way in using her ability to speak French, which I guess makes sense due to the fact that she used to live in Europe, and learning French is probably a huge asset to her time in the IRA. Anyway, this works, and she is invited into the party, and luckily, she gains the favor of Luke, and is even invited to his home for a party, where she gets a private tour. However, she gets stopped before heading into Luke's office, because he leaves to prepare for something. This is when Fee uses her time wisely, and uses this as an opportunity to snoop. She also leaves a listening device. Luckily for her, Claude begins to create a distraction, which is lucky for her, but unlucky for Mike, who now has to save him without being seen. This is when Mike does something incredibly smart by using light to mask his presence. It's a very nice touch, and he does have to drive off under gunfire. At the loft, the perplexed Claude is wondering why Mike is helping.
Because that's the kind of guy he is. He's an honorable man, just like they told you. He's just a little slow sometimes.
This is when Sam and Mike assure him they are going to convince Luke to give them something to prove Luke is actually Jean-Pierre. At the end of the meeting, Mike warns Claude to go into hiding until this is all settled. The next day, Fee meets with Sam and Mike to discuss the fake Gustavo and Sam and Fee continue their animosity towards each other.
Sure as hell not a people person.
You want to take over, Sam? Oh, hey. That's right, I forgot. All your friends wear uniforms. Which makes you useless.
Hey, who found out about this guy in the first place, huh?
The fact Mike has to keep them focused on the job is just funny to me. As Fee leaves, Sam outfits Mike with a cover ID, and Sam is also tasked with meeting up with those FBI agents who used to follow Mike in the first season. I, for one, enjoy the continuity of the characters coming back after some time has passed. It gives the world a little bit more substance. While the agents are on a stakeout, watching some old woman, Sam shows up to dangle a new assignment in their face to hopefully persuade them for their help with Claude. And luckily, the bait is just way too good, and these two are able to bolster Mike's cover ID as a guy who's trying to help Luke disappear from further investigations, especially from the FBI. And Mike is terribly convincing to the point of concerning Luke that he might actually need Mike's help. Meanwhile, Sam drops by to help Maddie, and she is just as convincing as her son. She cons Sam into dropping her off at her stretching class, and then to further the con, she invites him to be her partner.
You all right, Sam?
This body was not built for the hip adductor stretch.
This causes Sam to use beer to soothe the pain in more than just one way. This is when Luke finds Claude's hotel room, meaning Mike has to save him from a firing squad again. Now, the first time, that was definitely on Mike for not communicating with Claude that he is going to actually take the job. This one's on Claude. Mike warned him to stay away and go into hiding, but he didn't listen. But I'm kind of glad that he didn't, because this is one of my favorite standoff scenes in the whole series, because Mike is able to defuse the situation without a shot being fired, and more importantly, keeping his cover intact. I do find it funny that all Sam has is a shotgun to the 3 security guards who have their guns trained on Mike at point blank. If the shooting starts, Mike's gone. However, cooler heads do prevail, and Mike lives to see another day. But this also works well into his favor because Mike gains Luke's trust, even just a little bit, which causes them to set up a meeting. At the loft, Mike is angry with Claude, who shows his true colors as a true believer. However, this prompts Mike to have the client stay with him in order to keep him safe, which does work for Claude, even though he is intensely devoted to his daughter. And his character in this scene is second to none, with how much he really cares and respects her sacrifice after he initially turned his back on her. It's also sweet how much he truly loves his daughter and is willing to lose everything, including his own life, to see Luke or Jean brought to justice. The next day, Fee finds the person who smuggled in the fake Gustavo, and she uses her reputation to intimidate him into divulging the info on the fake Gustavo. She does use impressive fear tactics, and this gets her the address of a storage unit that Gustavo was dropped off at. At the same time, Mike uses a ruse in order to check on Maddie's progress with the car, and Maddie's steadfast in attempting to find the thieves and fix the car by herself. The topic of Sam helping with the stretching class is brought up.
Recovering. Your stretching class nearly killed him.
Well, what doesn't kill him will make him stronger.
Believe me, I know.
I don't think that applies to cigarettes, Ma.
And this is when Maddie wants Mike to help her find the hooligans that broke in the first place. He rebuts that he's helping somebody avenge the death of their daughter, which backs her off. At the loft, Fee reveals the intel she got before Mike has to leave in order to meet with Luke. And after he asks for all the information, he meets with Jean-Pierre, and just as it seems Mike is getting everything he needs to get Luke arrested, Luke reveals that his father is still alive and is wanting to chat with Mike, and the dad is very intimidating and is also able to blow Mike's cover. This forces Mike to signal to Sam using the listening device that was already planted, to convey a secret message in order to get even a little bit of advantage, and is able to flee. And as he's doing this, I just love how he takes this guard out. It's like, wait, then bam. I could literally watch this scene 100 times. This takedown is just great. Luckily, he gets away. However, this proves to be worse because now Luke and his father are going to be way more paranoid. But Mike decides on giving Luke a one-way ticket to Heidi, courtesy of Fee's contact. This means Mike has to prep a box truck, and I love these scenes of Mike creating the inventions he needs, whether it's prepping a truck for a kidnapping or turning a phone into a listening device. These scenes always are stylized in the best way. To help seal the deal, Sam meets with the FBI again to get some help with this new plan. Meanwhile, Fee meets back up with Luke in order to seduce him up to Fee's room, where she uses a sedative to knock him out, but not before making enough noise to scare his security detail, who take a surprisingly long time to get into a hotel room. Maybe Luke had to spring for better security. This wouldn't have happened. During this time, Mike rappels down to help Fee throw Luke into a truck. And this scene always looks weird to me. I know they have to do this safely, and more than likely he is wearing a harness, but it looks funny when he's falling because of where the wire was. It just doesn't look natural in any way, shape, or form. But I know they had to make sure that the person who was in that, whether it be actually him or his stunt double, had to make sure that they were okay. Eventually, the guards get in and realize that they are never working as security ever again. At the loft, they close the lid on Luke, or as he will be known again, Jean.
I guess you can't change the past after all.
And Mike finally is able to convince Claude to go back to Heidi, but not before Claude gives Mike the best compliment he could. Also, it's nice that Claude tells Mike that his daughter would have liked him. This shows just how much reverence Claude shows to Mike. After that, Mike returns to Maddie's to attempt to help her with the car, but she already fixed it, and gives a little bit of insight onto why Mike's dad wired the car the way he did. This is a wonderful scene that brings Maddie and Mike a little bit closer together. Then Sam drops off some info about Jean's company and possibly enough to go after the father. Then Mike and Fee use the information of a storage unit to hopefully find the man who is trying to take out Mike. This is when Mike shakes the nest and a guy starts running and doing some impressive parkour. Only to realize that the man that they are looking for is Victor. Wait, whoa. Victor? Victor's the one that took the shot at Mike and also took out the sniper and ruined one of Carla's missions? The guy who was gung-ho about everything up until this point? Huh, that's interesting. Which also begs the question, if Victor just fell off the earth, why wasn't she thinking that was the first person? Because we learn that Victor is just as good as Mike when it comes to spy knowledge. So why wouldn't he be suspect number one if he just went dark? I guess maybe if Carla never contacted him during this whole thing, but still feels a little weird, especially since he's the only agent that we know of that's still in cahoots with Carla. So why wouldn't she think this was the first person to go to? But anyway, unfortunately, Mike is separated by a fence, so he can't actually go after Victor. But it is nice to know that they have an enemy that they can go after, or possibly a friend, I don't know. This episode was okay. Not bad, but not really that great. Honestly, if it wasn't for the twist at the end, which is honestly this episode's saving grace, I honestly would skip this episode. I mean, I'm glad that Claude got some closure with his family, and we learn about just how connected Fee is, which will grow later on in the series. But I mean, I felt like we spent more time on the client than we did with learning about the burn notice, which I kind of like a good 70-30 split. I understand that most of the episode has to be dealing with the client, but there needs to be a lot more dealing with his situation. It just didn't feel like the mix was there. And I mean, it is good that he finally found the person who tried to blow him up, and the reintroduction to the FBI agents that seal in this world as an ever-evolving paradigm. Thankfully, the next episode is the penultimate one. Thank you for watching. If you're curious on how an FBI team solves cases with psychology, check out my other series, Inside Criminal Minds. And as always, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.